If you saw a giant winged creature flying over your mountain cabin at midnight, would you grab your camera? Or just quietly pretend you didn't see anything and hope it doesn't come back? Welcome back to Don't Quote Me, It's Probably Nothing, the podcast where we dive into the weird, the wild, and the downright spooky stories that make you question what's really out there. Today, we're taking a trip to the misty hollers and rugged peaks of the Appalachian Mountains, a place that hides secrets. The wood whisper legends, and the locals have stories that'll make you sleep with one eye open. We're talking about creepy creatures that don't make it into your average cryptid guidebooks, haunted hollows that have seen more drama than your last family reunion, and traditions so old they blur the lines between myth and reality. So if you're ready for some mountain magic, ghostly whispers, and the kind of folklore that feels like your granny's telling you a bedtime story, but with a warning not to fall asleep, buckle up because Appalachian lore is about to get real. But don't quote me. It's probably nothing. Before I get started, I just want to say that I have not smoked in 5 days, so I just know I'm going to be stupid. Also, every time I listen to the playback to edit all of the sounds out that are weird and stuff, I'm always like, is that what I sound like? And now I totally get why when I worked in Pizza Hut in high school, that lady told me to get the marbles out of my mouth. I think I mumble sometimes. But anyway, let's kick things off with one of the biggest, creepiest legends to ever come out of the Appalachians, the Mothman. Picture this. It's the mid-1960s, and folks in Point Pleasant, West Virginia, start seeing this giant, shadowy figure with glowing red eyes and wings big enough to make a buzzard jealous. People described it as part bird, part man, and 100% nightmare fuel. The Mothman quickly became a local celebrity, or terror, depending on who you ask. Sightings kept piling up, and the creature was blamed for everything from eerie noises to bad luck, and even the tragic collapse of the Siler Bridge in 1967, which ended up killing 46 people. So some folks think the Mothman was a supernatural warning, a harbinger of doom trying to save the town from disaster, and others think it was just a weird bird or mass hysteria gone wild. Either way, the legend lives on, complete with festivals, a museum, and even a Hollywood movie. But wait, there's more. I hope, when you heard that, you pictured the scene from Scary Movie, the original Scary Movie. It's one of the Wayans brothers after the whole Scream scene, and yeah. So the Appalachians are basically a cryptid hotspot. Take the Wampus cat, for example, a mysterious feline creature said to prowl the hills with glowing eyes and a fierce attitude. Some say it's a cursed woman, others say it's just a big cat that's too shy for daytime. Either way, it's a staple of Appalachian spooky storytelling. Then there's the Flatwoods Monster, spotted in West Virginia in 1952, a strange, tall creature with a glowing face and a body that looked almost robotic. Eyewitnesses said it emitted a noxious gas, leaving a trail of mystery and fear. The Flatwoods Monster is one of the classic UFO cryptid hybrids that keep people guessing about what's really out there. And we can't forget the Beast of Bray Road and other lesser-known creatures that roam the mountain fog. These stories might sound like campfire exaggerations, but to the locals, they're part of the landscape. A reminder that the mountains hold secrets deeper than the hollers. So whether you believe in the winged warnings, cursed cats, or glowing-faced aliens, Appalachian cryptids offer a perfect blend of mystery, fear, and that cozy feeling of sitting close to the fire while your grandma tells you to stay on the path. What path? I'm not sure. Let's switch gears from cryptids to ghosts, spirits, and all the spooky vibes that seep through the Appalachian Mountains like morning fog. The Appalachians are packed with haunted places and ghost stories that could fill a dozen creepy campfire nights, and then some. One of the most famous is the Bell Witch legend from Adams, Tennessee. This story goes back to the early 1800s, where the Bell family experienced years of terrifying hauntings, strange noises, objects moving on their own, and even physical attacks. The Bell Witch became so infamous that even Andrew Jackson supposedly came to investigate, only to be chased off by the spirit. Whether you think it's a genuine haunting or just some folks having a really wild imagination, the tale still sends chills down spines today. Then there are the mysterious brown mountain lights in North Carolina. Glowing orbs that float and dance along the ridges baffled scientists and locals alike for centuries. Some say these lights are spirits of lost miners. Others think that they're ghostly warnings or even extraterrestrial visitors. Whatever they are, they add an eerie glow to the Appalachian night sky. Across the region, there are countless haunted cabins, abandoned schools, and forgotten cemeteries that locals avoid after dark. Stories of restless spirits, tragic love stories, and unexplained phenomena are woven into the fabric of mountain life. One popular tale involves the Raleigh ghost, said to roam the streets of North Carolina's capital, searching for lost souls. Appalachian folk are known for passing down these stories with a mix of reverence and a little humor, because what's scarier than a ghost story? A ghost story told by your great-grandma while she's knitting. Duh. So what's fascinating about Appalachian hauntings is how often they blend real history with legend. Families that really lived and loved, tragedies that really happened, all wrapped up into ghostly folklore. It's like the mountains hold on to every secret, every sorrow, and every laugh, making the spirits part of the landscape. So whether you're a believer in the supernatural or just here for the spine-tingling stories, Appalachian hauntings remind us that some mysteries are best left to the night. Or at least told with the lights on. Now that we dipped our little piggies, now that we dipped our little toes into the spooky and supernatural, let's talk about the rich folklore and traditions that make the Appalachians a cultural stew, simmering with history, magic, and a whole lot of heart. Also, I love stew. Beef stew is my favorite, for sure. I think it's the only stew I've ever had. But it's almost soup season, and I freaking love soups. So I think I mentioned this like 5 times so far, but the Appalachian Mountains are a melting pot of stories passed down from Native American legends. Actually, I don't even think I mentioned this. European settlers and African influences, all swirling together like a perfect batch of grandma's moonshine, which, side note, moonshine is wild because I had like a tiny little bottle cap full and I was a mess. I was hot. I was cold. I was sweaty. Then I wasn't sweaty. I was dizzy. And then I was awake. And then we're driving. Well, I wasn't driving. Jim was driving. And I'm like, you got to roll the windows down. I'm going to puke. And then I'm not going to puke. And then it was terrible. Terrible. I don't know how people like actually like that stuff. I mean, Jim might have liked it. I mean, he didn't have any, but I think he liked it because like considering how drunk I was, he actually might have gotten lucky that night. Also, like, being a parent turns your bedroom into a no-fly zone for sexy time. Like, it's wild. And they ask the stupidest questions when they come in your room, too. First of all, they don't even knock. Like, I can't tell you how many times. So Jim sleeps naked. So, I mean, not that anybody needs to know, but he likes to sleep naked. So he sleeps naked, and we were getting ready for bed, and it was so hot. So he didn't have any blankets on, so James just like busted in without even saying, hey, I'm coming in, and like came, I guess, face to face with Jim's, do they call it a chocolate starfish? Is that what that is? The butthole? And I'm sure his balls were probably just like squeezed between his legs. It probably looks so gross. But anyway, James just like slowly closed the door and like didn't even tell me what he wanted, what he came in for in the first place. Well, now that I told the world about Jim's butthole, I guess I'll continue. So one of the coolest parts of Appalachian folklore is the belief in mountain magic. Not the Harry Potter kind, but old school practical magic. We're talking about folk remedies, herbal lore, and protective charms designed to keep away evil spirits or cure what ails you. Got a headache? There's probably a plant for that and someone who knows exactly how to brew it into a healing tea. And speaking of brews, did you guys know that moonshine isn't just a potent party drink? It's steeped in tradition and legend. Like Prohibition couldn't stop the mountain folk from distilling their own secret recipes, and they were often hidden deep in the woods. And some say the best moonshine has a pinch of magic, or maybe it's just that high-proof alcohol working its charm. Folktales about characters like John Henry, the steel-driving man who raced a steam-powered hammer and won. I don't know what a steam-powered hammer is, but good for him. Anyway, they showcase the grit and the heart of the Appalachian culture. So these stories aren't just entertaining, they're about community and the spirit of the mountains. Then there's the darker side of the lore. Tales of witches, boo-hags, and other creatures said to roam the hollows at night. The boo-hag, for example, is like a mountain boogeyman who sneaks into your house to steal your breath while you sleep. So yeah, you better keep that window closed. Also, I feel like I want to call someone a boo-hag. So if you see me out and about and I'm just like Screw you, boo hag. I don't mean anything by it. Music is another part of Appalachian tradition, with ballads, bluegrass, and haunting melodies carrying these stories across generations. The songs themselves are like walking history books, keeping legends alive and kicking. And Appalachian folklore is a beautiful blend of the magical and the mundane, showing us how people live with the mysteries of the mountains every day, with a little bit of skepticism, a lot of heart, and sometimes a whole lot of sass. So, we've covered the legends and old school tales, but guess what? Appalachian lore isn't just stuck in the past like a dusty old family photo. Nope, it's alive and kicking and still totally weird today. Also, I'll be right back because I need to go make some chocolate milk real quick. Okay, I'm back with my chocolate milk, and I'm out of breath. I actually drink my chocolate milk out of wine glasses to make me feel fancy, fancy schmancy. Speaking of speech impediment, if anyone has ever had the pleasure of knowing my little brother when we were growing up, that's literally, that's how he talked. He would be like, "Hey guys, my name's Johnny. You guys want to go get some pizza?" He will never listen to this because I just don't think he will, but if he ever found out I just did that, he'd probably murder me. So anyway, back to Appalachian lore. Even in our modern world of smartphones and social media, folks in the mountains report strange sightings, unexplained noises, and mysterious lights that keep the spirit of Appalachian mystery alive. Take the Brown Mountain Lights, for example. Those glowing orbs that have baffled scientists and locals for centuries, they're still happening. People swear they see them flickering and dancing, just like the old stories say. Also, if you're wondering, like, "Hey Kelly, how did you do that speech impediment so well?" It's because I literally used to make fun of my brother all the time. Also, my name is Kelly. I don't think I ever said that. Maybe in the first episode. But hi, I'm Kelly. Then there's the rise of Reddit threads, which, don't worry, I'll be reading some Reddit stories, Facebook groups, and YouTube channels where modern-day mountain residents share their own spine-tingling encounters. From ghost stories to cryptid sightings, these digital campfires keep the oral tradition going, but with emojis and GIFs. And let's talk about the white thing. A strange, ghostly figure spotted near mountain roads and forests, described as a glowing apparition or sometimes a foggy humanoid shape. No one really knows what it is, but the stories keep piling up, giving locals plenty to whisper about on long, quiet nights. What's really cool is how Appalachian lore adapts, old stories mixed with new experiences, creating fresh legends that feel just as real and just as spooky. The mountains seem to hold onto their secrets tight, inviting each generation to add to their own chapter. Plus, the culture embraces these mysteries with festivals, storytelling events, and museums that celebrate the weird and the wonderful. So whether you're a skeptic or a believer, one thing's for sure: Appalachian mysteries aren't going anywhere anytime soon. So now, let me hit you. You can't see this, but like when I said that, I was moving my little DJ record. You know what I'm talking about? Maybe, maybe not. Anyway, let's talk about some real Appalachian mystery stories straight from the wild world of Reddit, where I found some spine-tingling experiences and people definitely did not hold back. I actually want to try that with an echo. People did not hold back. I just played that back. It's actually kind of funny. Also, I think I'm going to like randomly put echoes throughout the rest of my podcasts from here on out because I thought that was pretty cool. Sunday. Anyway, back to the stories. This one is from Doobie Doopy, which I love that name. And it's titled, "I Live in the Heart of Appalachia, and this is easily the most terrifying story of one of my experience." Ooh, I have chills already. This may be short or it may be drawn out. I'm recounting these events as I type, as it was honestly one of the most horrifying things I've ever experienced, and it brings me genuine stress to think about. This happened maybe 2 to 3 years ago. I live in southern West Virginia and have for my entire life. The woods and the mountains surround every direction you look, and nighttime is a darkness that you can never dream of unless experienced. I was with a friend. I will call him Mark. Mark was at my house one evening, doing the usual things, watching UFC, playing Xbox, etc. It was extremely late when we finally got bored and decided to go for a walk on a nearby trail to smoke a joint. So fitting for this podcast, by the way. This is not a particularly long trail, but it is very dense in the woods that surround it, and it is easy to get freaked out when thinking of your surrounding. We finally get to about halfway into the trail, about 30 minutes in, where we stop, pack our joint, and stand on the trail to chill and talk. The forest is very alive this night. There are always noises in the woods, but the amount of animal activity for the time was unsettling. At this point, it was probably past 1 a.m. This was strange and kind of eerie, but not alerting as any sort of predatory animal in the area may cause a disturbance. We finish smoking and continue our walk when almost immediately the forest falls dead quiet. As soon as the forest goes quiet, there is a voice. I'm freaking myself out over here reading this. It almost sounds like a mocking humanoid voice, shaky and uncertain, almost like an old children's toy. Like the ones with the crackly speakers and robotic voice, if you know what I mean. This immediately sets us off. We bolt directly down the opposite length of the trail, but the sound does not gain distance. It doesn't get closer per se, but no matter how far we ran down the trail, this eerie voice remains the same volume, going over and over with no quieting or stopping. At this point, I'm convinced that we are in genuine danger, something I have felt very few times. Finally, after sprinting for who knows how long, we exit the trail, gasping for breath and almost at the verge of tears of how frightening this was. We begin to exit the trail, and about 5 minutes from the exit, there is a bone-shaking, heart-stopping, murderous scream from directly behind us. I know what a mountain lion sounds like. This was not an animal. This was not someone playing or watching a movie. This scream sent birds flying from nests and made my heart drop into my stomach. It was the most genuinely depraved and violent scream that I have ever heard. This is a true story that I have only told to maybe 3 people, all of whom seem to brush it off as false. I've never been a person to push for the existence of the paranormal or spiritual, but I genuinely believe I encountered something inhuman in those woods. I know I will receive questions such as what the voice was possibly saying or to explain the area of what happened after. I genuinely cannot remember what the voice was saying, if anything intelligible. I don't know if I could understand it then, and I certainly can't recall understanding it several years after blocking it out of my memory. All that I recall is that it was a fluctuating voice in high-pitched, shaking, almost just joining sounds together. After running from the scream at the end of the trail, we ran to the car, which was only about 5 more minutes from the trail, so we got there relatively fast from sprinting. That was such a random way to end that. Oh, I get it. You don't remember. Yeah, okay. You were running. Get it. Got it. Good. This next one is from Rach1874, and it's a comment to this story that I just shared. It says, "Oh well, I feel this in my bones. My uncle, Mom's brother, has had a farm in southeast West Virginia since the 70s, long before I came into the world. Mom is the oldest of 5, and my uncle built a bunch of houses on the farm so family could use it whenever. Some lived there and other, like my family, visited often. My mom and older sister and I would go for weeks on end to spend time with family, and I always loved it because I have a ton of cousins and was the baby for a long time, so mostly I tagged along with my cousins and felt extremely safe, like it was my happy place. I don't remember anything totally out of the ordinary when I was really little, other than I remember an imaginary friend whom I exclusively played with at the farm, nowhere else, and we moved extensively for Dad's job, so I've lived in many different places. What I remember after age 5 was suddenly being old enough to not have someone walk me to and from other houses, which I thought was so cool. So I used to explore. My uncles liked to bow hunt and had taken me a few times not too far in the woods, so I was able to go back on my own and find their little tree platforms they had built with to hunt from. I thought they were cool little tree houses. Your story sounds a lot like the very last time I ever took off by myself into the woods without another family member with me. It was the winter. I wanted to be out in the snow and explore. So I found my way up the mountain. That's what I called it, but it was in fact probably just a massive hill, and into the trees. I couldn't find the spot I was looking for and got pretty frustrated with my 8-year-old self. So I sat down by a creek to catch my breath and figure out where I was. I couldn't have been sitting for more than about 3 minutes when something let out a scream I can only describe as blood-curdling. I thought it was a fox most likely until I heard another voice crying, just weeping and wailing, and the sorrow was palpable. My cousins had always told scary stories about Appalachia, and I figured that they had followed me into the woods and were trying to scare the pants off me for shits and giggles. That's kind of funny. I called out like, "Okay guys, not funny. Okay, I'm going home. Enough," and followed my footprints in the snow as fast as I could back to the farm. The screaming and crying didn't stop. It stayed consistent as I moved, which really made me convinced it had been my cousins. I don't think I heard words, just crying and screaming, but it wasn't pleasant. I made my way back to the main house, my uncle's house, which is the biggest on the property and visible from the edge of the woods, and absolutely booked it, ran full tilt to get to the kitchen door. I remember getting through the door and slamming it behind me because I was a combo of terrified and annoyed that my cousins were playing a prank on me. The next closest cousin in age is 9 years older than me, so I was often the butt of pranks. Well, wouldn't you know, every family member was accounted for in the living room The older Mal cousins and my uncles were in the kitchen putting their snow boots and coats on to come look for me. I had apparently been gone for several hours, and they were worried. According to my mom, I was white-faced. My hands were covered in scratches through my mittens. I guess I must have fallen or something. They were so worried I had disappeared. I should add, I set off from my aunt's to walk to my uncle's and had decided to take a detour and didn't tell anyone. Oops. I was 8 and I really didn't think about how that might be bad. Mom said it looked like I had seen a ghost. I asked if anyone had come out to the woods to look for me. They said no, we've been looking at the different houses, and we were just about to come look for you because they saw my footprints head into the woods. I told them about where I went and what I heard, and my uncle, whose property it was, said, "Oh shit, I think you probably ran into the witch." I'm over here thinking, oh, some crazy lady lives in the woods, and I probably stumbled near her cottage. Nope. The witch was just what they called the unknown entity that roamed the woods, screaming, crying, mimicking people's voices, and just giving people a good old sense of doom and dread. No one had a straight answer about possible folklore or anything like that, but all my older cousins had their own experiences with similar happenings over the years. Scared the living daylights out of me, and while I've been back to the farm over the years, I can tell you I've never once set foot near the woods tree line, even as an adult. I was grateful my family didn't think I was crazy, but they said a general rule is to not be in the woods alone. So I listened. To my knowledge, nothing physical ever happened with anyone and this entity, but the Appalachia has some wild stuff. I definitely remember some strange stuff happening during the week we had my aunt's funeral when I was 21, and random voices or red eyes or smoke apparitions on the wood's edge, but I never went to check them out after that one incident. So, looking through the comments, I keep seeing an Appalachian banshee mentioned, so let's meet one of the most haunting figures in Appalachian folklore, the Appalachian banshee. Now, if you've ever heard of the Irish banshee, you know she's that ghostly woman who wails like there's no tomorrow, warning that death is coming. Well, the Appalachian banshee is like her mountain cousin, just as eerie, but with a distinctly Appalachian twist. This spectral lady is said to roam the misty hollows and rocky ridges, her pale form sometimes glimpsed through the fog. But what really sets her apart is that bone-chilling wail that cuts through the night air, a mournful, heartbreaking sound that locals say you never want to hear unless you're ready to face some serious bad news. I had to go get one of the kittens to keep me company because I'm freaking myself out over here. Some folks believe the banshee's cry is a warning, a supernatural heads up that a family member is about to pass on or that some deep dark trouble is headed your way. Others say she's a restless spirit tied to old mountain curses or tragic tales from the past, doomed to wander the hills forever. And the banshee isn't just about doom and gloom. Her wails have inspired songs, stories, and even superstitions that folk pass down to keep the mountain magic alive. It's like the mountains whisper through her, reminding us that some things are bigger than us and maybe better left unexplored. So next time you're up in the mountains and hear a sudden, eerie cry carried by the wind, maybe it's just the banshee saying hello, or maybe it's time to pack up and head back to the safety of the holler. There's so much Appalachian lore that I can probably do like a million episodes on people's experiences alone. I'll save some scary ones for spooky season, but I noticed a few comments mention skinwalkers, and I have to read a story or two about those. So this one is from Entertainer number 5745, and it says, "A lot of strange things happened to me when I was just a boy, but this is the weirdest. I was 11 at the time." I had to go grab a second cat for this story. I was about 11 years old and it was past midnight, 12:30 a.m. to be exact. My parents were asleep, but my cousin, who was 18 at the time, was still up. I had to take out the trash, so I brought my dog Barry with me. He was mostly black with a few white spots, always alert and always by my side. The trash can was only a 30-second walk from the front door. I tossed a bag in, then turned around and called for Barry. But there was nothing. No footsteps, no tags jingling, just silence. My cat just walked under the curtain and the curtain moved. Maybe I should have brought the cats in here. I turned on my flashlight and looked around. He wasn't there. Confused, I started walking back to the house. That's when I heard it. Heavy, fast, pounding footsteps coming up behind me. I whipped around and saw something I'll never forget. Charging me was something completely black, darker than the night around it, like it absorbed light itself. A massive black figure running straight at me. It wasn't a dog or a pig or a horse, but somehow it looked like all three. Its body was wrong. Just wrong. Its movement too fast, too heavy. It made a sound except for it made no sound except for the thunder of its steps. No matter how fast I ran, it always felt like it was 2 steps behind me. This feeling of dread and fear instantly shot through me as I sprinted through the door, heart racing, flung it open, and slammed it shut behind me. I sat there on the floor gasping, trying to process what had just happened. Then it hit me. Oh shoot, I left Barry outside. I started crying as I think of what that thing could have done to my innocent dog. I was scared to death, but I couldn't leave him out there. So I stood up, ready to go back outside and find him, heart racing, until Barry came walking toward me from his kennel inside the house. Inside. Calm and normal. He had never left the house. He was inside the whole time. Whatever I called out there, it wasn't my dog. This is like giving me the heebie-jeebies. I'd probably shit my pants for real. This next one is from username Luke Witter. It's titled, My First Encounter with the SW. Your first? You've had multiple? It says, I was in the 6th grade when I had my first real encounter with a supernatural creature of Appalachia. I live on a small off-road in the middle of the woods, only about 13 houses give or take, so it's quiet at night. When I was a child in Appalachia, I was taught things to avoid any supernatural confrontation, but it was bound to happen one day. Some rules I learned were never to be out alone after dark. If you see it, no you didn't. If you hear it, no you didn't. Things along those lines. It was January and I had gone over to my friend's house who was about 3 houses away from mine, so not far. But it was winter and the sun goes down early and I had lost track of time and it was 6 o'clock and pitch dark outside. When we realized how dark it was already, she offered for me to just sleep over since she knew there was a possibility of me running into a supernatural creature. But I insisted and I just walked home. She then offered to walk me home so I wouldn't be out alone, but again I said no. So I went outside into the frigid, icy air and walked home. I had my phone flashlight on so I could see a creature from far away in an emergency. I walked home as normal, looking at the beautiful icicles and snow piles everywhere and thought, I'll be fine. I was wrong. My driveway to get down to my front door is steep and it goes down fast and at the end is the woods. It's woods for at least 5 miles back. I walked down slowly since there was ice everywhere and then I heard rustling in the bushes at the bottom of the driveway in the woods. I pointed my flashlight down and saw a wolf, but it didn't look normal. Living in the Northeast, I see many wolves, but this one looked demented. Wolves won't strike at you or run up to you unless you provoke them, so I thought it would be all okay. I was about halfway down my driveway, and every step I took, the wolf looked more and more demented. It had glowing eyes, and it was very big to be just a wolf. At that time, it started moving towards me. Fast. Another rule I learned as a kid was to never run from one of those creatures. But I did run. My front door was locked, but I had a key in my hand. It took me what felt like forever to unlock the key as it jiggled in the keyhole. My anxiety was so bad, even though it was only 20 degrees out, I was sweating like crazy. Finally, the door unlocked and I ran in. There was a window right next to my front door and I looked out the door and there it was. An SW shape-shifted as a wolf. Its eyes were beady and cold. It was hungry. I looked away scared of what would happen next. After about a minute, it was gone, never to be seen again. Every night for about 2 months after that, I was too spooked to even close my eyes. It got so bad I had to start taking melatonin. I'm mostly fine now, but here and there I still feel like this wolf was watching me. It still spooks me to this day. That was my first ever encounter with a supernatural creature, but many were to follow after that one. I had so many stories to share about these creatures, but that's for another time. No, the time's now, brother. I need to know everything. I feel like I want to stop reading these because I'm going to scare myself, but I also want to keep going. So I found one that says, so I've been seeking around in some Facebook groups to try and see if anyone can identify what happened to me. So I figured I'd ask Reddit. I've been hit with the overwhelming SW comments. However, someone notified me that there are no SWs in the Appalachian Mountains. So please tell me what you think. I just found out that where I hold my microphone, because I don't know what happened to my holder, makes so much difference in what my voice sounds like. So my bad. I can't find anything online about it, and maybe someone here could tell me. So I live in the Appalachian Mountains, and twice since moving here I've witnessed something staring through my window. 2 separate occasions, where it looks like someone I know, but it's not because their eyes are off. Almost like they're too big to be human eyes, and they're almost bulging. First one was my dad, and the other was a guy who I was talking to. I know for a fact that neither of them would have been staring at me through my window. First time I was laying in bed, my dad was staring just through the window between some bushes. Second time was years later. I was in a different room, and the foundation is taller due to my land being inclined. I got up to close my window, and before I actually got to it, I got this weird feeling as if someone was there, and lo and behold, I was looking into its eyes, and it was staring up at me. Never acknowledged it either because I'm not dumb, but does anyone have any idea what it could be? It's been bugging me for years. Enter Fleshgates, which I am going to call FGs. Little less well known, but still spine tingling. They're described as being very tall, thin, pale-skinned creatures with disproportionately long limbs and long claws. Their head and face is slightly similar to humans, and their nose is very small or almost looks like they don't even have one. They have no hair, no antlers. Their eyes are usually dark, black, but it can glow, often white-yellow or reddish when they are illuminated by a flashlight, headlamp, or other kind of light source. They can walk on all fours, but also on two hind legs. Despite their hunched body position, which is how people often see them moving around, they are good runners, climbers, and their inhumane speed is well known. The thin, seemingly fragile body shouldn't mislead anyone because they are extremely powerful. Sometimes they are also referred to as rakes or crawlers. Sometimes skinwalker is used, but just because the person might not know the difference. They prefer to hide in forests, wilderness, and arid lands, but apparently some aren't afraid to go into towns or even cities. Apparently, I've never been on live TV before. I'm actually going to try and play that video for you so that you guys know what I'm talking about.
What did you think about the ride?
It was great. And probably, I've never been on live television before. But apparently sometimes I don't watch the news because I'm a kid, and apparently every time, Grandpa just gives me a remote after we watch the Powerball.
So funny. They are intelligent, can take the voice and shape of different local creatures. Living creatures, that was supposed to say, I think. They are capable of learning languages and writing. They are able to use modern tools, have a great sense to observe human behavior and mannerism, and have excessive physical strength, speed, and senses. Apparently, they hunt, kill, and feed on people, but we are not their only prey. They make sounds like hissing, moans, whistling, chittering, screams, and shrieks. Here's a comment by Man Bear Piglet 2. It says, I don't know if I believe in 100% of the stuff here, but I will say that when I was a teenager, I went on a hike in South Central PA by myself in the Appalachian Mountains. It was a day I was playing hooky, so there was nobody else there at the small train, at least that I could see. You had to drive there. There was no foot traffic. I was young and had been talking, singing, horsing around the whole time, totally unconcerned, yelling things off the top of the mountain, etc. On my way down from the mountaintop, I heard my dad's voice call my name and ask for help. I thought I was having a stroke. I stopped and almost started to follow, thinking, WTF is my dad doing here? Did he follow me or something? And then I came to my senses and told myself, my dad is sitting in his office like an hour or more away. I heard it 2 or more times in the space of a minute or two. Call me by name and tell me to come here and help me with something. I have never run so effing fast. I used to do this hike in bare feet, and I remember barely being able to hurry down the mountain. I never went back, and to this day, I don't know WTF that was. Okay, this is the last one I'm reading because I'm scared, you guys. I got to play this TikTok for you because I don't know if you've seen it, but it's a little girl in the closet and she toots and she tries to blame it on a ghost and she's like, I'm scared, you guys.
There's nothing to wear. Did you guys hear that? I'm scared. I don't know what was that, guys, and I didn't do that. I'm scared.
I'm still cracking up at that. It's been like 10 minutes. I'm going to take a chocolate milk break because I'm literally like crying right now. Okay, I got my chocolate milk and I calmed down now, so I think I can finish this story. And if you're ever wondering, which I'm sure you are not, why I'm out of breath after I get my chocolate milk, it's because I ran up the steps. Okay, this last one is by username Cancer Cane. It says, in 2018, I was waiting for the bus by myself, and as I waited, my sense slowly started to freak out. And when the bus was turning the corner, I saw, and I was fully awake, a headless pale deer jump through the woods next to the bus. After that, every time it was nighttime-ish, I was near the woods, I would get a feeling like something was watching me. Then, in 2021 or 2022, me and my brothers were climbing up a hill connected to the woods, and when we got to the top, we started dicking around and howling and stuff. When one of my brothers with a headlight was looking into the woods, we saw a pair of glowing eyes, then our instincts kicked in and something told us to get out of there. We tried to convince our cousin and our other brother to come with us, but they refused. So after a while, me and my brother start going down. When out of nowhere, my other brother and cousin started running past us, yelling at us to run. And as we run, I started to fall back, and I shit you not, all I heard was a human breathing behind me. Luckily, we managed to get to the house and stayed in there the rest of the night. The most recent was either 7 or 8 months ago, which, to basically recap, I was chilling in my bed, then a hissing, moaning sound in the voice of a young boy. I was on the second story of the house, by the way, started coming from the window. It sounded like it kept saying ska and kept on saying it 3 or 4 minutes before it eventually left. And the final encounter up to date took place 5 months ago. I was downstairs getting some water when I see eyes look at me from the window, and a few seconds before disappearing, and I ran upstairs and put as much as I could against my door. I tried to get in and did move the door pretty decently. I put a dresser on the door and other heavy objects I could find, but it didn't come in. I managed to grab a knife, but as I did, I saw its hand. All the fingers were disproportionately different sizes and sharp at the end like claws. I sat on my bed, waiting and having a death grip on the knife, but all it did was stare at me from the crack in the doorway. I still remember its eyes staring into me. Eventually, I somehow slept, and when I woke up, it was gone. The worst part is that I know it's toying with me, and I'm scared of seeing it fully. Well, on that note, I'm done talking about that for a little while. I have the heebie-jeebies. Also, I'm scared. SCURRED. I don't know why I said that. But that is a wrap on our journey through the misty mountains and mysterious hollers of Appalachian lore. So next time you're out on the mountains, maybe listen a little closer to the wind. Keep your flashlight handy. And if you hear a strange wail, a whistle, a hiss, or see something lurking in the dark, know you didn't. And remember, don't quote me. It's probably nothing. If you have your own mountain mysteries or spooky stories, send them my way. I'd love to share them in a future episode. Also, did you know that you can text the show? So if you go into the show notes and click text the show, you can send me a message. So yeah, feel free to do that. And I'll read your text here, I guess. There's also a support the show. Support the show. There is a support the show link if you are so inclined. And I also want to say thank you to everyone who listens to my podcast faithfully every week. It's much appreciated, and it definitely means a lot to me. Apparently, it means a lot to me. There's something seriously wrong with me, I think. Next week, get ready to trade mountain myths for magic and mouse ears as we dive into the happiest conspiracy theories on Earth. Yep, Disney. I'm going to be there when this episode airs, so clearly I had to talk about Disney. From frozen bodies to secret symbols, we're uncovering the wildest rumors about the place where dreams come true. Spoiler alert, I love Disney, and none of these theories are true because I said so. But before you go, this week's song of the week is Roulette by My Side of Paradise, and honestly, they take me right back to my younger emo years. It's the perfect mix of nostalgia and vibe, and I can't get enough. Go stream it everywhere. Seriously, I think you'll love it. Go be kind to someone for no reason. Go be amazing.
Couldn't feel, I bit my breath just to hold on longer. Inhale faster, keeps coming after. The taste that lingers begging for more. What would it take to learn a lesson from you? Would it take another trip down memory lane? Dancing in rain, fading away. Take me out today. What's been the 6 shots? It's coming around again. Again, all doctored up, sitting back and right here, ready to spin. Something neat and something too familiar. A little heat and feel it always sin. They tender. Another bender woke up in the gloom for us a room. Was it worth it? Is it ever? Was it worth it? Not forever. What's been 6 shots? It's coming around again. Coming out, never coming back. Bottoms up. unmitigated laughter.